Will a real estate market crash? That is the biggest question everybody is talking about these days. Do you believe it's going to crash? Are you watching the headlines where they're talking about the doom and gloom and how terrible the market is? Well, I'm here to tell you that we're actually in a balanced market. And here in Arizona, we're like one of the top 5 states that people are moving to. There's inventory finally. It's just that buyers are still on the fence with interest rates. So stay tuned while we talk about what the market's like here in Arizona. Hi everyone, I'm Theresa with eXp Realty, and I've been selling real estate for a little over 7 years now. I've lived here in the Valley for almost 13 years, and welcome to my YouTube channel. I love to be able to share what it's like to live here in the Phoenix metro area. It is beautiful. I love living here. And I want to give you all the information so you can decide and you can make the decision for yourself versus listening to all the news reports that make it feel like the sky is falling, the world is going to end. So let's jump into it. I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to be walking you through the Cromford report. It is an analytics tool that has been around for probably 30 years now, and they're local here in the Valley. And they have been analyzing our market every year. You're going to even see numbers in here back in 2007 and 2008 for the crazy amount of listings we had back then. And hopefully some of these charts will help you see the trends and where the market has been going. Because as they watch it, the predictions right now, nobody can predict, but the thoughts right now are that we're in a balanced market. It's taking 90 to 120 days for a seller to sell a home. Buyers are at a 6% interest rate, which isn't like it used to be. We were super low. You hear rumblings of 8, 10, 12% back when we even moved here 10 years, 13 years ago. So there's just a perception that it is so high. Yes, your payments have gone up if you're a buyer because of your interest rate, but you want to talk to your lender and just see what your options are, because a year ago, you had to bring an extra $25,000 to $50,000 in cash above your down payment to beat everybody else out of an offer here in the Valley. There'd be 30 offers. You'd have to go 50 grand over, waive your inspection, waive your appraisal, take all these risks. Versus now, you know what your monthly payment will be. You can buy down the rate. There's many different options you can do. So let's get into it and start looking at what does our market look like today. So here's the Cromford Market Index. And again, it's the balance of the supply and versus demand of buyers who want to buy. So the greater Phoenix area and 100 is balanced. Early last year, when I would do these reports, Phoenix Metro was in the 400s for a seller's market. It was crazy out of hand with how many listings that we had. Show you that in a minute. But you can see right here that Phoenix is actually 132. It is now back into a more of a seller's market. They have been saying that we've had the shortest buyer market that we've seen in a very, very long time. The end of the last 2022 was definitely a buyer's market. You could sit and you could look at, back in the old days, I could take someone out and look at 5 to 10 homes in one day and have time to think about it. Now it's slowly starting to creep back. We have more listings. Buyers are coming back on, but not as fast as we had hoped because of these interest rates. And they're concerned of where the market is going to go. So let's take a look. So yeah, the Phoenix area is now our seller's market, as are many of the other cities across the Valley. If you want to buy in Queen Creek, you're still in a buyer's market. You're going to have more chances out there. As well as if you look at Goodyear, that's also still a buyer's market. So these small little areas are what are still buyer's markets right now. So if you're considering it and you're thinking in this area, you're going to have more inventory to take a look at. Now, again, Phoenix, it's not huge. It's not a huge seller's market, but just know that I'm hearing there's a little bit more competition out there these days. So let's take a look at active listings. Again, we have 15,000 right now, 729. So this is as of December 31st. Right now, I think we're a little over 18,000 to be honest, right now in February. But look back so this is 2021. Look how low we were in 2020. So with COVID and everything, how much the listings dropped by the end of the year. By the end of 2019, we were still around 11,000. So we are doing much, much better with the amount of listings that we have today. Days on market. Again, we said this is like a normal market. Look at before. Last year, 25 days. That includes under contract. So that means they went under contract within a day, typically back then. I mean, this was May of 2022. That's when the turn started to happen. So these are the shorter days in 2021. I mean, we saw it for a very long time that things were selling in almost under a month. That's 35 days was the most back then in 2022, which is crazy. Now, 84 days is your average days on market. I tell anybody right now, 90 to 120 days is normal to sell your house. If it goes sooner, that's fantastic. Let's look at these active listings or active. So again, 18,655 is where we're at today. This is my big slide that I like to talk about with my buyers that are waiting for it to crash or anybody who's asking for it to crash. Look back at 2007 and 2008, how many listings we had for sale. 58,195 homes for sale. That is insane. I cannot imagine having, it's almost 3 times as much as we have now. And a majority of them were underwater, meaning they had bad loans. The loan they had was more than what the home was worth. So they were all becoming short sales and foreclosures. And it was a nightmare. Lenders, like back then too, they talk about you could just say that you made so much money, and they didn't really get all the documentation needed back then to make sure that you could actually afford the house. We are not doing that these days. Here in Arizona, you're required to have a pre-qualification form. When you go out and look for a house, we want to make sure you're pre-qualified for the right property, right price. I would hate to take you out to look at a house that you can't afford. You're going to fall in love with it, and then you can't get it. That is the worst. So, all right. So buyers believe that the prices will continue to drop in 2023. You know, again, it was a very short buyer's market. It's starting to make a turn here into Phoenix. It was a balance here in January. Now we're turning back to a seller's market. I mean, prices are not dropping. Prices are staying pretty steady. You do still have an opportunity as a buyer to get out there and take a look at homes, and buyers are going to start coming back out. This is the busiest time of the year for us. February till May is typically our busiest traffic when it comes to selling homes here in Arizona. And a lot of people are here this week. It's the Super Bowl, Waste Management Open. I have several people that are flying into town to take a look at houses. People are still moving to Phoenix as one of the top 4 or 5 states in which they're moving to. So Phoenix is still growing. New construction is growing. Everything is growing. There's no signs right now from what they're talking about of a crash. For sellers, there's a fewest number of listings added at the end of last year that we have seen in a long time. So that meant less competition for you as a seller, but demand is still very low because of the interest rates. So by mid-January, you know, this is where, again, we were talking about how Phoenix, Glendale, Mesa, all of them they were buyer's markets. And now we're seeing that shift into a seller's market in those area. Currently, 51% of the sales in January. Also, sellers also keep in mind that you are now still looking at possibly offering seller concessions or buy downs for the interest rates in order for a buyer to get into the home. Their payment has gone up significantly with the interest rates doubling from what they were last year. But again, if you're a buyer, I would love for you to just talk to a lender about what it would have been back then versus now. And it actually might be less. And it's probably definitely less than how much you're paying for rent, because rental prices here in Phoenix have gone through the roof. January sales so far, sellers are closing at an average of 94.5% to their list price. Under 500,000, sellers are closing at 97.4%. Still, a majority of sellers are coming out ahead. 65% of all active listings have been owned for at least 2 years. That's quite a bit. And in Phoenix, if you owned your home, this is the number I love to say, because I have people that have asked me if it's going to crash for years and they're still renting. They admit that we talk a lot about you don't know what you don't know, because what's closing now is going to tell us what's happening with the market. They're all under contract. We can't see what they're closing for. We'll know in next week. We'll know what this week brought. You know, we got to look back, but we don't know that when we're in it, that this could be the lowest they're going to be, and we could go back up into a crazy seller's market. We just don't know. So in Phoenix, if you owned your home for 2 years, you have all around 25% equity. If for 3 years, you could have 50%. For 4 years, you have 63% in equity. And if you owned your home for 5 years, almost 70%. And if you've owned your home for 6 years or longer, you can have up to 86% in equity. That's a lot. That's a good investment. Again, I'm Theresa with eXp Realty, and I wanted to say thank you for taking the time to watch this video. If you are a buyer and you're thinking about buying in 2023, reach out, drop a comment below, or you can see the links below where you can reach me. There's even a calendar link so you can book time with me directly. I want you to talk to a lender. Let's just talk about it. Rental rates have gone through the roof here in Phoenix. It's not funny. It's no joke. Landlords can charge whatever they want. There's no cap. Renters can't even afford a lot of the places anymore. Talk to a lender, see what your options are. There may be a way you can get into it. There's a way you can buy down your rate. You can buy down 1 full point in 1 year, 2 points the second year, refinancing before year 3. The highest it will go is back to the 6% that it is today. It's just you can buy it down at closing to get your down payment, get your payment lower each month. And there's other programs out there as well. It's just a phone call, talking to them about your credit. It's probably the scariest thing you have to do, but then the fun starts and we can get out and start looking at houses. So again, drop me a comment below or click on one of the links and book some time with me. I'd love to hear from you. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. I really hope you found it valuable. If you have any questions, reach out and I'll see you on the next one.